Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're talking week one in the NFL. We got our week one recap. We're going to go through all the games that have gone on so far and just get our initial thoughts to see what's going on for the year. So we're just jump into this thing. We have a lot of games to go over. Let's go over game number one right here. First one I got, Eagles Falcons will be the first one on my list today. So Eagles Falcons, I didn't really see this kind of blowout happening, to be honest. I thought the Falcons would maybe put up a few more points, but they didn't. 6 points for the Falcons. Right away, early on in that game, I was watching this. They drove down the field twice on the Eagles right away. Got inside the 10-yard line, only get field goals out of it, and then it was just nothing after that. So that was ugly. Eagles side of things, Jalen Hurts looked really good. 27-35, 264, 3 touchdowns, ran the ball for 62 yards. That's the Jalen Hurts we were hoping we'd see, right? When we hyped him up a bit. That's what we thought he could do.
Yeah, without a doubt. And he showed all of the intangibles that we wanted to see. And, you know, the running on top of everything else, 62 yards, you know, those are the extra few points that will help you make sure that he stabilizes week to week.
Yep.
The question here is, because Atlanta played so poorly, how much of it was Atlanta?
We'll find out, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing Jalen Hurts more than likely moving forward until someone is able to stop him, because he was very dominant today. But next week will be another kind of litmus test to make sure that it wasn't just a bad team that they matched up with.
Pretty much, yeah. Falcons might just be really bad on defense. We don't know right now.
I mean, they look bad overall. I mean, they're just not to jump ship to the other side, but I mean, Matt Ryan, I haven't seen him play this poorly in a very long time. Yeah. I mean, Calvin Ridley, 5 for 51. If you had Ridley right now, it's not time to hit the panic button, but I'd be very bummed, because I'd be like, how is this going to shake out? Mm-hmm. Like, is this the Atlanta team we're going to see the rest of the year? Because this will greatly hinder his numbers.
Oh, for sure. I don't know. I didn't think the Eagles had some dominant defense either, so I just don't know what this was. It was just a bad all-around effort. Part of it is they don't have a ground game. I'm telling you, Mike Davis isn't the key. He just is not. And he showed that today. 15 carries, 49 yards. He's just not the guy. He's not the guy. And Cordell Patterson was better when he got opportunity. I mean, it's just not Mike Davis. He's not the guy. No one has to worry about him. So it's going to be ugly if they have to do that. Like you said, Ridley 5 for 51, Pitts at the 4 for 31. Just not much there for the Falcons. The Eagles side, like you said, we talked about Hurts. Sanders had a solid game. He had over 100 total yards on the day. Not bad at all there. And then Devonta Smith caught a touchdown. Rager caught a touchdown. Goddard caught a touchdown. No big, massive games. They spread the ball out between a lot of guys there. Kenny Gainwell even got some opportunity. He got a touchdown on the ground. They looked for him. I think they threw the ball to him in the end zone as well. He got called back, so he was getting opportunity. They're spreading it around quite a bit. We'll see if they keep doing that, if anybody really emerges. But yeah, we'll see. This is one wait and see. What's next week going to look like when they play maybe a better defense? So, but good initial look for Hurts this year, I would say.
Yeah, without a doubt.
All right, about Steelers-Bills. Steelers win this one 23-16 at Buffalo. Probably not the expected outcome here. Roethlisberger 18-32, 188 and a touchdown. Not like a great fantasy day at all there. Naji Harris, and this is the weird thing. There isn't good fantasy output from this Pittsburgh team in this game. Najee Harris, 16 carries, 45 yards, average 2.8 per carry, and that's with an 18-yard run in there to help him out a little bit. Not a very impressive first outing, but Buffalo's a good team. It's hard to, maybe run against them. And then on the through the air, Juju 4 for 52, Claypool 3 for 45, Deontay Johnson 5 for 36, but he got the touchdown. Not a lot there. Not a lot at all.
No, a little surprising. You thought maybe it was going to be a more high scoring game. But what it showed was Pittsburgh's defense is legit.
Yep.
I mean, once again, this year, That was a big one. They scored a defensive touchdown. If you started that defense, you're going to be happy with that output. Is there anything in particular that kind of surprised you about this game, especially on the Buffalo side? Because I think everyone thought Josh Allen would put up a few more points. He was okay, right? 270 with a touchdown. Once again, kind of spread around. Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley got a huge amount of targets. Neither of them did anything too crazy with it. And then Devin Singletary, he had his moments where he looked really good, and then he had his moments where he didn't look so good. And Zach Moss was a healthy scratch. Is there anything in here that you read into or that you were surprised about?
You know what? I guess when you expect, more from Allen right away, but then you really think about it, and this is a tough game in the AFC North against the Steelers. Maybe this isn't really unexpected. This is just this kind of output's fine. 30 for 51, 270, a touchdown from Allen. It's the lower end of what he's going to do. But, I don't think I'm actually too surprised by this. It's just, I think it's a tough game, but, and that's what happened. It just, nobody went too crazy. And it's not like it wasn't bad for Buffalo. They lose, but Diggs 9 catches yet, 69 yards. The yard's not there, but at least there's some catches. Singletary 11 for 72. Yeah, this is probably the worst is what you're going to see. It's just a tough matchup. It's a tough game.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
It's a tough matchup, and I believe in standard. Josh Allen still scored about 20 points. Once again, rushing for 44 yards on top of that. So I do think that is a good thing. It was a fun game to watch, honestly, because I thought that Buffalo was going to start pulling away, and then the Steelers with their defense and special teams made up the difference, which was kind of cool to watch. What do you think about Buffalo does have a good D, but usually that's typically not the immediate thing you think about, especially for a Pittsburgh team that loves to give it to one back. What do you think of Naji Harris as his first official NFL game?
It's not a great initial impression, to say that. It doesn't look nothing spectacular there. So I definitely am going to be interested to see what he does next week in another game. If you get 2 weeks of this, all right, maybe this isn't what we thought. So it's a little, this is our first impression. It's not a great first impression, that's for sure.
Yeah, 2.8 yards per carry.
Yep.
Once again, Buffalo Bills are no slouch, but you're hoping for a few more. And even more worrisome is he had a long of 18.
Right.
So yeah. Nearly half the yards came on one rush, and then he had 15 others where he pretty much did nothing.
Yep.
That I think that is very shocking for someone that everyone thought he was going to do a little bit better.
All right, how about the next one? Vikings, Bengals. Bengals win this thing in overtime, 27-24.
This was another game. This was a great game, and a game I did not think was going to be this close, which was really, really fun to watch. And there's a lot of studs out on the field here.
So over the Bengals side, Burrow looked really good coming back from that knee injury. 20 for 27, 261, 2 touchdowns. Really solid day there. And threw 5 of those balls to Jamar Chase for 101. He had a 50-yard touchdown. Higgins was 4 for 58 with a touchdown. So solid there. And then Mixon on the ground, 29 carries, 127 yards, and a touchdown. So solid first day for Mixon there. All the work, 29 carries. You're going to get that workload. You're going to love him if you got him as your RB2.
Oh, yeah. He'll be productive if they keep doing this. I guess that'll be the question. They were kind of up on the Vikings, and the Vikings came back, and it was definitely kind of a teeter-totter game. The Mixon aspect, as far as how much they're going to use him, I thought that was probably the biggest takeaway. I really like to see the fact that they were just going to give it to him, and he was able to create. And once again, we don't know what the Vikings are defensively, but I don't think that they're that bad. So I do think that Mixon can continue this on. And I loved watching both Higgins and Chase do something, especially with the balls that they got thrown their way. I like that they both got a touchdown. I don't know how that's going to move forward. Chase looked good. So did Higgins. Yeah. And really what's going to come down to is who gets the big play. You know what I mean?
Pretty much. But all around, it's a better start for the Bengals. They're interesting for sure. So
yeah,
Mixon.
They were a lot of fun to watch.
With Mixon, with his backup being Samaje Perine, he's going to run the ball all the time. They're not going to put Perine in there. So for the Vikings,
no, without a doubt.
Vikings side of things, Cousins 36 of 49, 351, 2 touchdowns. So fantasy wise, that's a solid output. Dalvin Cook ran the ball 20 times, only was able to get 61 yards out of it, but he did get a touchdown, and he caught the ball 6 times for 43 yards. So he had 104 total yards and a touchdown. So fantasy-wise, it's a good day. It wasn't great maybe the way it came about, but it's a good fantasy day. And obviously, he's also getting all the work there. So this is probably the worst of what you get for Dalvin Cook too on the ground.
Yeah, and that's why you draft those kind of guys higher. We'll get to McCaffrey as well, but even if they don't wow you, they're just so involved that eventually all the numbers will add up, and you'll do well.
Yep. And then receiving Adam Thielen, 9 for 92, 2 touchdowns. But kind of, Adam Thielen was kind of written off, right? Coming into this year was all Justin Jefferson, and look at Thielen, 9 for 92, 2 touchdowns. Jefferson, 5 for 71. Jefferson was actually the third leading receiver in yardage. KJ Osborne was 7 for 76 ahead of him. So Thielen with 10 targets, Jefferson 9 targets, even Osborne had 9 targets. So that was interesting as well. But Thielen's not done. I say that. All those touchdowns he got last year, I guess, weren't a fluke, were they?
No, they weren't. That's what you love to see, because you could get them at a discount. And it comes down to Cousins and Thielen have been doing this for a few years now.
Yep.
So even though Justin Jefferson is definitely a giant talent, and even today where I don't think he wowed anyone, you're not that upset with his production. 5 for 71, and one for one as a QB as well, throwing one pass for 11 yards. But that's just the nature of what was going to happen here on the Vikings. Yep. And that'll be the only question is, do defenses start shifting towards Thielen, especially in the red zone? Or do they not? Do these numbers get shifted around?
I think
people are still. I think they're still going to be more afraid of Delvin and Jefferson.
Yeah,
and I
for
think
sure.
For a couple more games, they'll let Thielen beat them if he's able to. And look, he caught 2 touchdowns, and Bengals were still able to win. So, I don't see anyone changing it up too much.
Yep. How about the next game? Niners-Lions. 49ers win 41-33. This was a blowout that turned into an actual game at the end, surprisingly. And Lions almost came back, tried to, even though they're not going to win many games this year. They're just not good. I was surprised they even got this close. But Niners side of things, Garoppolo 17-25, 314, a touchdown. Trey Lance came in and threw a touchdown early on in that game. You can just see Trey Lance is going to keep factoring more and more into this thing as you go along. Garoppolo wasn't really impressive much, but he was fine. He's just, they want Trey Lance to play. The story of it becomes
he had a good game.
Yeah. It's okay, but Lance is going to keep factoring in. It's going to be, just going to way it's going to go.
They're going to slowly bring him along. Garoppolo did well today, but once again, the Lions are nothing special, especially on defense. They are definitely not there yet. Yep. And you saw it. I mean, Deebo Samuels, his numbers are pumped up because of a few really bad plays that the defense, CBs and whatnot, did or did not do. So, so his number, I mean, he was 9 for 189 and a touchdown.
Yep.
Wildly, I think, overblown for what he's actually going to do. How do you make sense of this? Which I feel like everything is let me go down the list actually. So Deebo Samuel, how do you feel about him moving forward?
I mean, this depends. It depends on what's going on here with Brandon Ayuk. And why he didn't do anything, why he didn't play. Is this just because Ayuk's not out there? And I don't know how that's going to play out when Ayuk's actually playing as well. Because I don't know the story. No one seems to know what actually happened here. Is he still nursing an injury? I saw some Twitter rumors that him and Sermon missed curfew. I don't know how true that is.
Oh,
but who knows? Everyone's just kind of confused why Brandon Ayuk wasn't out here. But with him, maybe some of this is taken away from Samuel, but Samuel's a good player. He showed it. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy in the past. And again, I don't know what to make about this being against the Lions. They're not any good. They're no good right now.
Here's the other one. Yeah. So Raheem Mostert, he got 2 carries and then he gets hurt immediately, which we kept joking about. And I don't want him to be hurt. He is he's a very good running back. It is really upsetting that he can't stay healthy. But you have this and the surprise, at least to me, like watching the game, I thought maybe they would give, JaMychal Hasty the first shot at it. And with Sermon getting the healthy scratch, you're kind of like, okay, that's where they'll go. No, Elijah Mitchell comes out and they give him 19 carries and he turns it into 104 yards with a touchdown. Everyone is going to be asking waiver wise, How do you see this going down? And I know this one is confusing as all hell, but how do you see it going down right now? Did he show you enough to get in there? Do you think Sermon angered the coach? What is going on with that backfield? If it wasn't confusing enough, they throw in another wrinkle.
Well, it's going to, okay, let's see I guess we wait and see what the Mostert injury is. It seems like it's probably serious. If Mitchell's the guy, I mean, he's a huge pickup because I've always it doesn't matter who the running back is with this Niners team. They're going to be good. And so there's all these conflicting stories. Like, is that curfew thing real? Probably, I don't know. That seems like the more out there. But after the game, Shanahan just came out and said that Mitchell and Hasty just beat out Sermon. That's what he said after the game. They just beat him out, which maybe it's hard to believe, but it's possible that Sermon just got beat out by these guys. Mitchell's a fellow rookie, a 6th round pick, but maybe he did just beat him out. And if that's the case, and there's nothing else going on that's odd here, Elijah Mitchell's the pickup next week, like this week. He's the huge pickup. You have to go get him. And that's just I think he's still the pickup this week because this is the one out there that's the potential just like league winner type. Right. If this is the guy, you have to go after this guy, I feel like, just because we don't know unless we get some more news before the waivers hit. But the Sermon thing's weird, and maybe he really just got beat out. It's possible. I don't know if I believe that. It's just, I don't know. That's what Shanahan said. I guess take him at his word right now. I guess I don't know what else to say.
And they play a lot of different running backs, and so the question will be then, if Raheem can't go, Sermon will probably be that third guy, right? And even more so, I think I find it more puzzling. And Elijah Mitchell was doing very, very well. So maybe it's just feed the hot hand. It totally could be. But you would think you would give Hasty a few more carries. They gave it to him on the goal line. He had one carry for 3 yards and punched it in. So how they're using them was kind of confusing to me, especially when Mostert was out, like pretty much immediately. So you went with one running back, which is very unusual for the 49ers. But anyway, I agree with you. I mean, you're going to have to pick him up. How much you actually want to,
that's the risk you're taking right now. If you go get him, you don't know if you're actually getting the guy who's going to be the guy or not.
Yeah, but it could come in there and turn into the goal line back as well.
Yep,
I mean, Hasty was technically it. I don't know. I wish I knew more on this one, but
it's an odd one.
It is an odd one, and we'll talk about more when waivers come. But and then Kittle did fine too, 4 for 78, and actually no. And I will say for the Detroit, it was good to watch them come back because they would have been just useless all the way around. But Jared Goff actually had a good fantasy output. I mean, 338 yards with 3 touchdowns and interception in there.
Both backs end up having good fantasy outputs.
Yeah,
too.
They did. And so did Hawkinson. So there is reason to get a little excited to say, you're on a bad team. But as far as throwing the ball, if they can continue to, throw it around like this and score, which they kind of put a little fear into San Fran. So maybe they'll go on a little bit of a run here. And I think Jared Goff, what I really like to see is maybe this will give him a little bit of confidence going into week 2, where, man, if the first half is what happened, Jared Goff would be a useless quarterback to have because, man, without that, he would have been decimated and probably thought, okay, there's no way around it. But how are you feeling about the 2 running backs?
Well, this is the interesting one too, is before the game today, they put out this report right before the game that Jamal Williams is the starter and Swift is going to be used. He's not going to be used that much because we're thinking, okay, he's just coming back from injury yet. But yeah, it was the case that Jamal Williams came in as the starter. Swift did factor in and actually had 2 more carries and had 8 catches as well. So, okay, if it was an injury thing as why Jamal Williams ended up being the starter today and Swift was going to play less, then we hope if we have more, if Swift's back into the offense more and healthy, all of a sudden that changes. Maybe he gets more work. But I think Williams looked good enough where that's not going to be the case, right? It's going to be a mixture of these two. So, but this is the thing, if they're going to be down in game and have to try to catch up, Swift and Williams both can catch the ball. They're both going to get a lot of targets. They're going to get catches. The rushing yardage might not be there because they just might not be able to run the ball a lot. I think they're still going to have good fantasy value. Them being able to catch that ball. And then Hawkinson, he's the clear number 1 target. I mean, that's the thing. We kept wondering, right? All offseason, someone has to step up on this receiving group, right? There's no receiver. Someone has to be the guy who does it. Never know. There doesn't have to be a receiver that does anything. It's just going to be the tight end and the running backs. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. And they each had 8 receptions. I mean, that's pretty crazy. And after that, it drops to 3. And, it was kind of a no-name guy. So,
Well, I'll say, but back to the Niners for just a quick second. I wish our league had, you could just pick up guys. We have free agent auction. So, and there's never any free waivers because I would have picked up Elijah Mitchell before that game. I'm upset because I was watching ESPN before the game. Schefter came out and called it. Elijah Mitchell's the reason why Sermon's not there, and he's gonna factor in. So, but our league doesn't allow it.
Yeah, he could be up for a big role this year, depending on what Mostert is.
We'll see here. How about Cardinals Titans? So Cardinals roll over the Titans in this one. This is kind of a surprise. Well, not that the Cardinals won the game, but just how they won the game. Right, that was the surprise to me. Kyler Murray just looked great. 289 yards, 4 touchdowns. He ran the ball for a touchdown, so 5 total touchdowns. It's a great day for Murray. Threw 2 of those touchdowns to DeAndre Hopkins, 2 of them to Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk there. Maybe this is the breakout time, right? We'll see. Rondale Moore, I thought, decent rookie day for first game, 4 for 68. And then on the ground, it was definitely just a split there. Edmonds had 12 carries for 63, Connor 16 for 53. So, I mean, I guess Edmonds looked better in that regard, but it wasn't not like in a huge way that he stood out, but he did have 4 for 43 receiving as well. Edmonds did. If Edmonds gets you that, he's a solid flex option if he's going to get you 100 yards and pop, every week. But just good all around for the Cardinals there. Kyler Murray's he's a great fantasy quarterback for sure, and definitely becoming a pretty good NFL quarterback nowadays. And I say AJ Green. I say for goodbye. I just went to AJ Green. He is there. He caught 2 balls, but only 25 yards. I think that's about what you're going to expect from AJ Green, right? So I think that name is he's a little past his prime at this point. But I guess the bigger story of this whole game to me was just the Titans and how they just couldn't do much. Derrick Henry, 17 carries, 58 yards, just never really got going. I don't know. And then AJ Brown, 4 for 49, got a touchdown, but Julio 3 for 29. I don't know. This is just not a great day for the Titans. I don't know what to do about this.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot to do, to be quite honest. I think they'll get it together. This was probably the most impressive win of the week for me to watch Arizona, because Tennessee is a legit team. The way they rolled over them, like you said, I mean, it was pretty crazy to watch. And, Derrick Henry will have a few of these games. He'll get back on track, I'm sure. They really held him in check. And it wasn't for a lack of trying. They gave him 17 carries. And Tannehill, he did fine, but he didn't look that sharp. And you can tell him and Julio are not on the same page at the moment. They will get that under control because they're both, veterans. They'll figure it out. And even AJ Brown, I'll give him this. AJ Brown, what always freaks me out is he never has the bulk. He never has a ton of receptions like a lot of these other guys do. But he always makes them count. And once again in this, he only caught 4 balls, but one of them was a touchdown. So he kind of saves his fantasy day. That's the magic of AJ Brown. So I assume he'll keep going with that one. But yeah, I don't think you lose faith in them quite yet.
No, it's just
it was definitely a kind of a shocker. I thought this one would have been closer, and I thought that Julio and AJ Brown would have put up bigger numbers.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to read too much into 1 week. If we need to see a couple weeks of this to be scared off. Right now, one bad game. Let's just see what happens next week. How about Seattle and the Colts? Seattle wins 28-16. Russell Wilson, just very efficient day. 18 of 23, 254, 4 touchdowns. Just Russell Wilson just playing very, just great football. That's what that is. Just great game from him.
I just love my man Russell Wilson because every time he gets downgraded,
I don't understand it.
And he comes out and he does this, and then you look at who he has on his team, who he's throwing to. Tyler Lockett had a wonderful game, and DK came on late, thank goodness, because what he took the first half off.
I'm pretty sure he didn't even show up to the game till halftime. Exactly. I don't think he was there. Yeah, and then he ends up with 4 for 60, got the touchdown. Lockett 4 for 100, 2 touchdowns. Made me look good for ranking him in the top 10 this week. I ranked Lockett number 10 this week, so that
very good. And I'll give you credit on this one too. When we talked about tight ends that you could pick up on waivers, you mentioned Gerald Everett, and he went out there and got a touchdown.
Only 2 for 20, but at tight end sometimes you just hope for that touchdown, right? That's about all you're looking for. And then on the ground, Carson 16 for 91, solid day. D. Eskridge got 2 carries they're trying to use him a little bit there.
Yeah, it was good he caught one as well. So I'm glad to see that he was in the plans for the team.
Yep. And the Colts side of things, Wentz 25 of 38, 251, 2 touchdowns. That's solid. It was solid for him. But Jonathan Taylor, 17 carries, 56 yards. Didn't get much going on the ground. Luckily, he was able to get 6 catches for 60 yards as well to make that 116 total yards. So he didn't hurt you. It just wasn't maybe as great of a game as you want. But Naheem Hines is definitely going to be a factor all year as well. Another 6 catches, 48 yards. Ran the ball 9 times for 34. They don't, without Hilton, they're number one. We thought maybe he's going to be Michael Pittman. Is it? Maybe it's going to be Zach Pascal gets 4 for 43, 2 touchdowns. Maybe it's just none of them, and it's just Taylor and Hines. It's one of these again where we always think, okay, someone has to be the guy, right? But maybe not. Yeah. Maybe not.
It's very interesting to watch these teams that don't get it rolling early on in the game, and we saw it with Detroit as well, where when your tight end and your running backs are your main weapons as far as through the air, it's going to be a rough day. So it'll be interesting to see how both of those teams bounce back after this. Because I know that Pittman and Pascal had a good game because he caught 2 touchdowns, but no one stood out. I mean, there just wasn't enough volume for anyone. So they do not want to be throwing, 12 combined passes to running backs and hope that's going to get you the win. Yep. But overall, I do have to say this team was definitely coming in with a little bit of, like Wentz was coming off an injury.
Mm-hmm.
I believe
he hasn't probably practiced at all for a month.
Exactly. Offensive line wasn't healthy. So it was good to see them kind of bounce back. But man, they just took Seattle's best shot. Like immediately they were down and they just couldn't keep up.
Yep. All right. How about Chargers in Washington? Herbert 31 of 47, 337, touchdown, a pick. Not the greatest output, but Washington has a good defense. This wasn't a terrible surprise. I actually put Herbert down my ranks a little bit. He wasn't in the top 10. He was like 13th or 14th this week, just because, Washington's a good defense. So I'm not going to take away too much from that output. It's kind of what you would expect, I think. Eckler, 15 carries, 57 yards, did get a touchdown. Thing with Eckler, if he doesn't get to you that touchdown, the game is just not as well here. No catches for Eckler, not even a target.
That's was shocking to me.
Yeah,
that was shocking.
That's the one where we're okay. Maybe Washington just took that away. Let's wait and see what happens next week. But if you get 2 weeks of Eckler with either like no or very little targets, that's where the worry becomes in, because that is where his value is. That's why he becomes, such a value in fantasy is the catches. So let's see. We'll see what that happens. Larry Rountree looks like the clear number 2 back, 8 for 27. Not like a great output, but he's definitely ahead of Jackson. But just Rountree's the guy there. Keenan Allen, 9 for 100. Just another solid Keenan Allen day, right? That's what he does, 9 for 100. And then Mike Williams, I like to see that 8 for 82 and a touchdown. Maybe after 4 or 5 years, maybe finally he could have that breakout year. We'll see. And then Jared Cook, 5 for 56. If you need a tight end, I'm telling you, that's what he'll probably do for you. And some of those weeks he'll throw a touchdown in there. And that's what you're going to get from them. And they win the game. It's a good defense they played against. So I think when they play some other people, they're going to have a lot better numbers than this. Then for Washington, Fitzpatrick gets hurt early. We don't get to see what he was going to do. Maybe it wouldn't have been any good, but kind of disappointing. I like to see him throw the ball around a little bit. Heineke comes in 11 for 15, 122 and a touchdown. Gibson, 20 carries, 90 yards. He's going to get all the work. That's what it looks like there. Then they only completed 14 passes all day, so there isn't really much to go around. McLaurin, 4 for 62. Logan Thomas, 3 for 30 and touchdown. Gibson caught 3 as well. Not much going on. McLaurin did have a pretty ridiculous catch, though, on the sideline. I will give you that. The numbers aren't there, but hey, the talent's there.
Yeah. Well, I never argued on that.
You get week 1 there.
I get week 1. I'm rooting for him. I don't want to be so right so quickly. And we'll see too. Heineke I don't know how bad the injury was to Fitzpatrick. It was his hip.
It's a hip. We'll know more tomorrow or next couple days.
And I don't know. I honestly do not know. This could be one of those weird situations where they give Heineke a shot because maybe Fitzpatrick is banged up. Yep. He looked pretty good. I mean, 11 for 15, 122, like you said, with a touchdown. He looked fine. He scrambled for 17 yards as well. But what does that mean? Fitzpatrick, we were kind of excited for, and I totally get that because that guy will sling it. He'll throw it down the field and he'll try to make some plays. will Heineke do that? I don't really know. So if they give him a shot, does it hurt the wide receivers? I think Antonio Gibson at this point is pretty safe.
Yeah.
He's going to be involved no matter what. But how are you feeling about McLaurin? Even though he's the number one, he's not going to disappear.
No, he'll still be fine, and he's going to get. I mean, he got all those balls with Heineke there, but I just like that potential of what maybe Fitzpatrick could do throwing the ball around, and if that's not there, I'm just not as excited as I was. It's still, I think he's going to be solid, but maybe he doesn't become that top 10 guy I hope for. But we'll wait and see what that injury is. We'll see how this ends up playing out, as we go. How about Panthers Jets? Panthers win 19-14. Darnold 24-35, 279, one touchdown. It ran a touchdown. So not a terrible day for Darnold, solid. But Christian McCaffrey is just ridiculously good, right? 21 carries, 98 yards, 9 catches, 89 yards. A guy just puts up yards. He gets, if you're in PPR, the numbers are just ridiculous. But McCaffrey's this whole team. DJ Moore 6 for 80. Robbie Anderson caught one ball, but it was 57 yards and a touchdown, right? So
that's the genius of Robbie Anderson.
Right, that's what he does.
I never want to start the guy, but he'll do this.
Yep. And then for the Jets, Zach Wilson, 20 of 37, 2 touchdowns, a pick. He looked better as the game went on. He started off really rough. It didn't end up like a great day, but it was a lot more rough at the beginning. He settled down a little bit, but I guess the one benefit, Corey Davis, 5 for 97, 2 touchdowns. He's the main guy there. Then that's going to be, I think, the whole season. So I really like to see that from Corey Davis. We started hyping up Corey, I think, a little bit there at the end, and I think he delivered for us. Now this ground game, I feel like it's just one you want to avoid, right?
Yeah,
it's a three-headed. I would say it's not a three-headed monster. It's just a three-headed. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to call it. It's just it's 3 guys.
Yeah, and Tevin Coleman is their number 1 at the moment, and that guy, he's a walking injury waiting to happen.
No one looked good. None of those 3.
I don't think that is anything. I don't think I want any part of it. I couldn't even guess at who might emerge as useful.
The only one that you might even just have that little bit of hope for is still Michael Carter, because he's a rookie and we just don't know as much, right? I mean, we know, we've seen Tevin Coleman, we've seen it. It just doesn't work out. Ty Johnson has some potential. Maybe he looked decent at times on the Lions, and then he's shown some flashes, but I don't think he's that kind of guy. I think he is what he is. Carter, maybe but it's not happening like next week. This is going to be something that's, if there's anything from Carter, it's going to be second half of the season. Right now, you just don't have it. All right. Next up, Texans, Jaguars. Texans win 37-21. This was the sure shot worst team in the league, right? It was supposed to be Houston. And maybe people forgot that Jacksonville was really bad last year. And maybe Urban Meyer can't coach in the NFL. So we'll see this one. I saw way too many people picking Jacksonville in this game and betting on Jacksonville, and it didn't turn out that way. Houston behind Tyrod Taylor, who's 21-33, 291, 2 touchdowns, a very solid day, and he ran the ball for 40 yards as well. Really solid. But this right here, biggest surprise of the day, Mark Ingram, 26 carries. Only got 85 yards. What happened? Where did this come from? I thought for sure
a little more of a split.
Yeah. Where'd the split
go?
David
Johnson got 3 carries.
Well, David Johnson, I think, is done. He's been done.
I agree, but first game, when you should be fresh. And then and Mark Ingram, he's no spring chicken himself, so I'm kind of surprised.
This was shocking.
But even Philip Lindsay, who's their younger back technically,
8 carries.
He only got 8 carries.
Well, okay, so
touchdown as well.
He got a touchdown. David Johnson did catch a touchdown, and Mark Ingram ran from. All 3 of these guys had a touchdown in this game, but Mark Ingram, with all those carries, just that alone is going to make him an interesting way. He has to be on our waiver wire episode. His name is going to have to be out there for sure. And then for the receiving, Brandon Cooks, he gets overlooked, doesn't he? 5 for 132. The guy can play.
He does.
He really can play.
He can. And Tyrod is a good enough quarterback. I'm really happy to see him get a win. Because he was supposed to be the starter for the Chargers last year, and then the doctor punctured his lung or whatever.
Right.
So then
oh God, that's so terrible.
I know. And so he kept getting screwed over every team he went to. Yeah. So finally he goes into a place where they desperately need someone after the whole Watson debacle. So I'm really glad that he gets to enjoy this win.
He's a solid enough quarterback.
He put up 37 points. I don't think that Jacksonville is anything special, but at the same time, we just went over a game in Carolina and the Jets where it could have been that same thing, but they, in this one, they found a way to put up points, which I think is huge. And like you said, Pharaoh Brown, I mean, anyone else, I don't think you're probably not going anywhere else to get points on this team.
It's just gonna be Cooks and Ingram getting a ridiculous amount of carries.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
For Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, 28 for 51, 332, threw 3 touchdowns, threw 3 picks. So this was his first regular season loss of his entire life, which is a crazy stat. Guy had never lost a regular season game in high school, never lost a regular season game in college. This was his first regular season loss in his life.
Did not know that.
Yep. So there's Lawrence's numbers. He threw 3 of those balls went to DJ Chark, 3 for 86 and a touchdown. Marvin Jones had 5 for 75 touchdown. Chenault 7 for 50. O'Shaughnessy 6 for 48. Spread the ball around there. On the ground, this was interesting. Carlos Hyde had the most carries, 9 for 44, and James Robinson gets 5 carries. 5 carries for James Robinson. He did catch 3 balls for 29. He had a total of 54 yards, but that's James Robinson for you. I'm sorry. I should not. Okay. I feel, man.
I'll give you a moment
joy
to
out of this.
I'll give you a moment.
He's just not the guy. I'm sorry, people. He's just not the guy. He's not that guy. And you know what? Urban Meyer is not going to use him the way he was used last year. It's just not happening. And it's not happening. Sorry. James Robinson is just not going to be that guy. And I feel bad for you guys. I got him.
If the Texans can put up this kind of points on him, I'm guessing the majority of teams will probably also put points.
Oh, yeah.
Which will probably make it so they can't be a run first team. I mean, what do you think a realistic expectation for James Robinson this year would be now?
45th running back overall, if he's lucky.
I mean, I want to disagree with you, but after this one, you're like, yeah, maybe. And what is up with Hyde actually getting more carries?
Hyde's not any good either. Hyde's not. I don't think. I don't think Carlos Hyde is better than James Robinson, to be honest. Like, I don't believe that.
No,
like, it's an odd one to me. I don't think Urban Meyer knows how to coach in the NFL, to be honest. I just don't think Urban Meyer. I think this Urban Meyer experiment is going to go horribly wrong.
We'll see.
I don't see this ending well.
After one game, I think it'll be a little too early to say that. But I do like and it's a rookie quarterback. And I'll say this about the 2 rookies, Lawrence and Zach Wilson, that we've already seen. I do like what I saw for the most part. Like, it's very easy to crap on a guy when he throws 3 interceptions in a game. But at the same time, you look back and most quarterbacks don't have it all worked out. So the fact that they were able to put up some yardage, he threw 51 times. I like the fact that he's going to get a lot of work. It does make me believe by the end of the year, this guy could be useful in streaming situations.
He could be. Yeah. I mean, he's a good player. Like, there's no doubt about that. We'll just see if they end up figuring out a way to use him right. All right. How about we go over to the Browns and Chiefs? Here we go. Browns were leading this thing this whole game. Looked like they were going to get a great win on the road, but the Chiefs are the Chiefs, right? And they can just score in bunches, and they did that. Mahomes, 27 of 36, 337, 3 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, 11 catches, 197 yards and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, 6 for 76 and 2 touchdowns. Just Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce are just ridiculous. I don't know what else to say. I like Mahomes and Hill won me a DraftKings lineup today, which is great. Like that lineup is just ridiculous. Just a great. I mean, those guys it's just ridiculous, right? They can't stop these guys. Mahomes also ran in for a touchdown there. Edward Delaire, 14 carries, 43 yards, 3 for 29. Not much there. And you know what? I don't know if the Edward Delaire thing's going to really truly happen. I don't think they need it to happen. I think they just need to throw the ball. And this is ridiculous. They're just good.
Yeah,
this is against a good defense too.
It was, they're very good defense, and they were down too. So that they weren't running as much as maybe they don't have to. But the only thing that makes me feel a little bit better about CEH is the fact that he caught 3 balls for 29 yards. So he's definitely going to be hit or miss as far as touchdowns go.
But he's going to be the guy at the ground.
Yeah, I'm sure a few times he will, especially when they get up. You're going to really love your life. Mm-hmm. But in games where they're still throwing, it's going to be a little feast or famine for him. But like you said, man, if you have Mahomes, Hill, or Kelce, I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. And this was like pitcher perfect for what they're going to want to do, right? Mm-hmm. Mahomes might be a wizard. I don't even know. He's magic or something. And then Tyreek Hill, he was the only one he was throwing to. He can't be defended. He had 15 targets. He caught 11 balls for 197 yards and a touchdown. I joked about Deebo Samuel because he had like 180 some yards. And I was like, well, that's going to go down. I was like, Tyreek Hill could actually go for more yards next week for all I know.
Yeah,
that's how good
ridiculous.
he is. And then
he's
Kelsey
good.
catching 2 touchdowns. That's his MO. So just a crazy team.
Then for the Browns, Baker was 21 of 28, 321, no touchdowns, threw a pick. It was the ground game that got him there. Yeah, the ground game is what really got him going early on. Nick Chubb, 15 carries, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hunt, 6 for 33 and a touchdown. Landry even got one in there on the ground. Nick Chubb looked good, I thought. Hunt looks good when he gets a chance. The ground game's good. The receiving group, no Odell today. Probably will be back next week, you would think. He's still coming back from the ACL. But David Njoku, didn't expect to see that name. 3 catches, 76 yards. Landry, 5 for 71. Yeah, and then Schwartz with 3 for 69.
Yeah, speaking of tight ends that you can pick up on the waiver, how legit do you think this is? Njoku, we always knew that he had a lot of talent. He was drafted pretty high, and then he kind of just went away. Like, it just didn't work out. And this is only off of 3 catches, but the guy is crazy athletic. Odell should come back to take even more pressure off of him. Is he someone that you would think about picking up?
I don't think I'm going to pick him up right now. But it's somebody that I'd be like, I'd look at, I'd watch. And then, again, I like to see stuff a little bit more, I guess. So if I see a second week from him, then I'm like, okay, maybe this is a real thing. If he just, another 4 or 5 catches, it doesn't need to be crazy. But if it's just something where you see he's involved, it doesn't have to be a massive game, but if you can just see that he's involved in this offense a bit, it becomes interesting to me. And maybe the talent starts to actually, shine through it for once, which, with tight ends, that sometimes has happened in the past. It's not just that he's battled injuries. Maybe he can, finally get a role there. We'll see. I'll just wait and see. I'll take a wait and see approach with him. But all right, move on to the Dolphins, Patriots. Dolphins win 17-16. Tua, 16 to 27, 202, a touchdown and a pick, ran one in. That's going to be probably a very typical Tua output, I would say, for the year. I think fantasy-wise, he's going to be solid. He could have some better games in this, but it's fine. It's nothing too crazy. On the ground, Myles Gaskin, 9 carries, 49 yards. The weird thing is they didn't run the ball a lot. They were winning, but they still didn't run the ball a lot. It just didn't have much.
It was a low-scoring game.
It's just not a lot of offense going on.
I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I mean, Tua only threw the ball 27 times. There just wasn't a lot of plays for Miami. Gaskin, I'm not gonna read. He had 5.4 yards per carry. The yards per carry were fine. He caught 5 balls for 27 yards. He's involved, obviously. He's okay, but I don't know. We'll see what he is. There's not much to take away from this, I would say.
No.
With Gaskin.
I would agree with you. And I think the only good thing about this was the fact that it kind of showed you once again, okay, I'll go with the first 2. Devonta Parker, 4 catches for 81 yards, was targeted 7 times. So he is still in the mix. That's great. And Jalen Waddle, they try to get him the ball. So 4 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. So if you did have high hopes for the rookie, there is some promise there. So I think that could continue to improve. That's pretty great. Gesicki.
Yeah, just nothing there.
What in the world, man?
I don't know. This just wasn't there. He just had 2 targets, no catches. Just, I don't know. Maybe that's just not happening.
Yeah, I just don't think it is. I don't think they have an interest in really trying to force feed him the ball. So, I mean, you just take away from what it is. He wasn't a high draft pick or anything, but as far as like fantasy this year, but it's just one of those guys you want to keep your eye on because as an athlete, he's incredibly talented. So seeing that, you're kind of okay, well, another tight end that could be on waivers, let him go.
Yep.
On the other side of it, New England did lose. They lost by a point, but there was actually people that impressed me on this side of the ball. And I thought Mac Jones actually played pretty darn well. Solid. 29 of 39, 281 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, only was sacked once. You're kind of like, okay, cool. As far as saying that, do you think that there's any time that you would be able to use Mac Jones? Because he does seem like a safe option. He doesn't seem like a guy that has a huge upside, though. How do you view him going forward?
That is an interesting, but I think he still could be a bye week fill-in, but I always feel like there's going to be better options in most leagues. But I think he's fine. I think this is a good opening day for him. So I'm interested in this. I actually, I could see him being a fill-in for you on bye weeks, possibly. But that's about it. I don't see it getting more than that. because they have okay receivers there, but they're not spectacular, right? Aguilar was okay. 5 for 72, a touchdown. James White caught 6 balls. Myers caught 6 balls. Jonah caught 5 balls. Hunter Henry caught 3. So it's a solid grouping. I don't know. I could see him getting better. This is a decent first game. It really is. It's not bad. Is. I just don't see this New England offense being very explosive. So
I would agree with you on that.
And
speaking of, you kind of went through the wide receivers. Yeah. There's nothing too much to read into. I think you have to figure it out. But I do want to get your opinion on this.
Yep.
So I was a little more of a Harris guy, and you love Stevenson.
Yep.
And it's only game 1.
Yep.
But it was a clear line share, 23 carries to Damian.
And this is why Stevenson fumbles right away. So he's done. If you fumble, you're screwed.
It's so funny too, because he did so well in New England. He will bench you so quick.
Yeah. But then Harris fumbled at the end, right?
He wasn't able to get in the end zone, but
Harris fumbled at the end there, though. As they're going down, they would have been able to take the lead, and Harris fumbled the ball. So maybe it evened out. I don't know. Stevenson was the first quarter, and he got a carry. He had 2 catches, or he got a carry, got a catch. So he had 2 touches early, and he fumbled, and that was just it. So I don't know. Does Belichick hold that grudge forever? We'll see. But Harris, but Harris fumbled the ball that ended up losing the game for him. We'll see. Now they both did. Maybe you just go back to even next week, right? Or maybe you just see Brandon Bolden out there. God, I can't believe he's still on the team.
I know.
But that was interesting. We'll see. Stevenson though looks droppable, but it's he definitely looks droppable. He might not even been on roster, but he very well could all of a sudden get 20 carries next week. You just don't know with the Patriots look.
Right.
But all right, how about Saints Packers? This was a shocker. The way this turned out, 38-3. Saints just destroy the Packers all around. So the Jameis thing is interesting. Obviously we've been a big Jameis believer, right? And hype Jameis. And so we see 5 touchdowns. Kind of want to take a victory lap, right? But it's still interesting to me. I don't know how much it's good, right? But it happened an interesting way.
Say that. I was going to say the numbers.
So it was 14 of 20. Part. It's 14 of 20 for 148 yards. It was interesting. But 5 touchdowns. One of them was just a little shovel pass type thing to to Kamara, which counts as a pass. Still, even if that was just a handoff, it would have been 4. He still had 4. I can't see Alvin Kamara not getting any rushing touchdowns though going forward. Like this is where, this is the way this one worked out. As much as I liked Jameis, I was a little concerned coming into this game. I started thinking about this. I'm like, who's he going to throw the ball to? Like, who is he truly going to throw the ball to? Callaway only had 1 for 14. Like Deontay Harris. Remember Deontay Harris? I've talked about him in the past on this show as as deep sleeper kind of guy. I love the talent. He had 2 for 72 and a touchdown, that long 55-yarder. Maybe this will he was my mini Tyreek Hill, even a mini Tyreek Hill, even smaller than Tyreek Hill, which I liked him. Juwan Johnson becomes the tight end with 2 touchdowns. Troutman had 3 for 18. They still didn't do much there. It's just, it happened to end up in touchdowns. They had short fields and they ended up in touchdowns. I don't know what to make of that. Because even on one of the drives that ended up in a Jameis Winston touchdown, they brought Taysom Hill in on 3rd down to try to score. They didn't get it and then went for it on 4th down. So this very easily could have dropped to be 2-3 touchdowns, nothing for Jameis. And we're looking at it differently. Still, you like to see it, right? I don't want people to go too overboard with it. It's a great day, but 5 touchdowns and 14 completions is not sustainable.
No. Well, and I don't know how this game would have shaken out if Green Bay just even put up a little bit of a fight. That is just, as far as Arizona was the most impressive to me, as far as taking it to a good team. Green Bay, that was the most disappointing one, where they just, I don't know what they were doing.
It was bad. I mean,
Aaron Rodgers did not look like Aaron Rodgers.
15-28, 133, no touchdowns and 2 picks.
I mean, if you had him, Devonta Adams, Aaron Jones.
5 for 9, 5 carries for 9 yards.
I mean, it was so bad that Jordan Love got to play.
Yeah. Oh, it was bad. I mean, maybe, Aaron, maybe next time don't try to force a trade all offseason. Just I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, if Jeopardy's still calling.
Jeez, yeah, you might want to take that job.
Yeah, I'm joking. Aaron Rodgers will bounce back. I love him, but this was this was a piss poor.
Yeah, I just don't know what this was. I'm gonna hold off on judgment, right?
Even he, I'm sure, is man enough to be like, we messed this one up.
Right.
Like we're not ready to play.
Yeah.
Here's my question though: if it was a closer game, because Alvin Kamara got 20 carries, which I feel like this is the weird part. Usually that would be more like 10, 15 tops, and then he would get a lot more work in the passing game. He did get targeted 4 times. It turned into 3 catches for 8 yards, so it wasn't like down the field, and he got a touchdown. Does any of this? I mean, it was such a weird game, but does any of this freak you out about Kamara? I mean, he's he's solid.
No, I'm not worried about him
as the top guy.
Yeah, to me, he's the offense. It's still him. He's still the offense. I'm not worried about it. Yeah. Look at those other guys he has. I mean, you throw into Callaway and Juwan Johnson and Chris Hogan and Troutman. There's just not a lot. And Devonta Harris. Those guys I don't think can do it without Alvin Kamara there. So he's the offense. He's the guy. So
yeah.
All right. How about the final one we have here, actually? Because Bears Rams, we're actually doing this during the Bears Rams. There's 3:32 left or 3:22 left in that game, so I'm almost over. But here we go. Broncos Giants. Broncos get the win, 27-13. That's not a surprise. But Bridgewater looked pretty solid, I would say. 28 for 36, 264, 2 touchdowns. Just a solid day for Teddy Bridgewater. On the ground, Melvin Gordon, 11 carries, 101. It was all boosted by a 70-yarder late. It wasn't that good until the end. He broke one free. Javonte Williams actually had more carries, 14 carries, 45 yards. And, the yards per carry looked much different, but Melvin Gordon was right at that same clip until he broke that one. So they were pretty much, the same there for most of that. Jerry Jeudy looked good. He looked good. 6 catches, 72 yards. That was in what? Just over half a game. He was looking pretty good and then messed up his ankle. Man. And he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, probably.
Is that what it was? Just a high ankle sprain, though.
But they say probably 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, and I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles on this one. I don't know what to expect from Denver moving forward. Bridgewater did kind of what I thought he would. He made the right reads. He was a safer quarterback. But as you can see, if you lose Jerry Jeudy, who seemed to be his go-to guy,
yep.
I mean, I guess this would be better for Noah Fant. Maybe Cortland Sutton slips in there, but he only got 3 targets. It was kind of strange. Tim Patrick was still part of it. They really spread the ball around. So I don't feel really great about anyone else on that team. And what do you make of, like you said, Melvin Gordon is going to get the nod because he had a good fantasy output game because of that one long run. How do you see that one moving forward? Are you still more of a Javonte Williams guy?
I am. I still think eventually Javonte Williams probably takes us over, but right now maybe it just looks like it's gonna be a split for a while. And that's probably how it's gonna stay for quite a bit there. So yeah, I think this is, without that 70-yarder, that's gonna be pretty similar out for both these guys for most of the season. How about the Giants? Daniel Jones, 22 of 37, 267, a touchdown. And then he ran one in, but just not that great. Saquon was limited in this one, 10 carries, 26 yards. They weren't going to use him a lot, and that's what he ends up getting. And just 1 catch, 1 yard. Even when he's healthy, I'm just worried about it. I'm worried about it.
This is why he was my unexpected bust. I kind of figured something like this would go down because you don't want to throw him in the deep end right away. But this was Denver's I'll give them this. I don't actually know how good Denver is quite yet. I know that they have a lot of really quality players on the roster. They might be better than I'm giving them credit for. But it does seem like New York, this would be a game that they could compete in.
Yep.
And Saquon, he got 10 carries, so he was healthy enough and he wasn't able to get it going. So that is a very big worry. We'll wait until week 2 to really figure out what's going on. But Sterling Shepard on this team was the bright spot. And I'm not sure what to make of it because we know Sterling Shepard was a good player at one point when he wasn't injured and New York is playing decent. 9 targets, 7 catches, 113 yards and a touchdown. Does he interest you at all?
Honestly, not that much. I just still don't care that much. Kenny Galladay's been hurt. He's finally coming back from it. I still think he's going to get more than Shepard. I'm not that interested in this offense right now. I just don't love it. So
don't trust anyone
I don't.
to produce week in, week out.
Nope. But all right. How about actually, let's go talk Bears Rams. There's only 3 minutes left in this game, and it's over as in the final score. There might be some more fantasy numbers that come through, but this is going to be a Rams victory. Right now it's 34-14 with 3:17 left. Rams just scored another touchdown, Robert Woods, which is going against me in fantasy. That's going to make it so I got to sweat. I got to sweat it out tomorrow night. I got to sweat out Justin Tucker. So I'm up right now. Well, they still got Allen Robinson going too. I'm up 13 points right now. And let's not talk about me dropping Jameis. And starting Matt Ryan. Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about
Ryan. That was my favorite when I saw you started him.
And I still might win.
Painful.
I still might win. Might win. But I would have had an easy win if I didn't make that decision. But whatever. All right. Rams. Stafford 20 for 26 right now, 321, 3 touchdowns. Good day for Stafford. He's got a couple big touchdown passes. 67-yarder to Van Jefferson, a 56-yarder to Cooper Kupp. Kupp has 7 for 108. Jefferson then 2 for 80. Robert Woods did just get a touchdown there, but he's only 3 for 27. Higbee 5 for 68. So it's spread out a little bit with some of these guys. I forgot they have Deshawn Jackson, right? 2 for 21 for Deshawn Jackson. So a couple big plays. Stafford, that's what he can do, right? Like he's back in the Calvin Johnson days. That's what he did. And if he has some guys he can throw the ball deep to again, he's going to do it. On the ground, Henderson is the guy today, obviously. 14 carries, 59 yards, a touchdown. Sony Michel's only got 1 carry. It's kind of expected. He just got there. He could eat into this more as it goes on. We'll see. Henderson didn't like just come in here and just take that job completely and just make sure it's his. And it's 14-59. It's whatever. It's an average game. So we'll see if Sony Michel gets more work as we go. So the Bears side of things, Dalton 27 of 35, 206, no touchdowns, a pick. Justin Fields has worked his way into the game a couple times, and he ran the ball in for a touchdown. So that's going to be similar thing as what the Niners are doing with Trey Lance, and they're just kind of throwing these guys that they're going to play in certain situations. Not a lot right now, but they're going to get a little bit of work, right? And we'll see what happens. And God, come on, Bears, stop throwing the ball to Allen Robinson.
I was going to say, keep throwing to Allen Robinson. Please.
No, do not. So on the ground, David Montgomery, 16 carries, 108 yards of touchdown. You know what? David Montgomery looked pretty good.
He did. He is the guy that I think is incredibly safe because even when you're losing, he looked really good and they want to establish the run game. And especially when Andy Dalton is in there. Yeah. Does it change a little bit when Fields is in there? Probably, because he'll be able to rush, and in the red zone he might steal a few touchdowns. But I think David Montgomery is going to be incredibly safe running back. And if you can run and slip away from Donald, then you'll probably be able to run against most teams. So I feel good about that.
We might have undervalued him, honestly. I was more impressed with Montgomery tonight. I felt, I'm watching him like, maybe we weren't as high on this guy as we should have been. We'll see if that continues. The Rams are good defense too, so see him play well against that defense. He might be able to do some things through the air. Marquise Goodwin 4 catches, 45 yards. Cole Kmet 5 for 42. Nice young tight end prospect. I like Cole Kmet, and if he can start doing some stuff like this, get a few more in there, I feel good about him. Then Allen Robinson 6 for 35 as of right now, off 11 targets. Darnell Mooney 5 for 26 off 7 targets. We'll see if they get any garbage time here. Maybe somebody gets a number that they shouldn't. And I forget, Jimmy Graham's still on this team. 1 catch for 11 yards.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. If you have one more game like this, it'll be Justin Fields will be coming in pretty quickly.
He's going to come in at some point. It's just when. When is it one of those things where they wait till the bye week kind of a thing?
Yeah, I was joking with one of our buddies that lives in Chicago, and I said, I'll give Dalton 3 games, and he was like, he's like, I'll give him 1. He's like, Fields will be in next week.
I say the bye week's not till 10, so that's probably not going to happen. But yeah, did they want to throw him out against the Rams? That might be what's going on too. We'll see. Or they promised Andy Dalton, right? He was going to be the starter, so he got his 1 game, right? That's all they needed. They kept their word.
Yeah, and he didn't. I mean, it's a rough one.
He's Andy Dalton,
business works, but he didn't. He didn't make a case for himself. It's not an easy game to come out and play in week 1, but you're also a veteran and you know what you're stacked up against. So, 27 for 38, 206 and an interception is not gonna keep you the job.
No, it definitely won't. But all right, there we go. Week 1 is almost in the books. We got one more game tomorrow night. What do we got? Ravens, Raiders on Monday Night Football. See how that one goes. Be nice to see if Lamar can be the 2019 Lamar Jackson. And I'm really interested to see what that running game is going to look like.
I'm really excited to see that whole game in general because I think you nailed it. I think Lamar is going to be really fun to watch. You know, Tyson Williams, if he's going to be the guy, like he could really establish himself very, very quickly. So if Tyson can do it, and then on the other end, everyone's kind of waiting and wondering because a lot of running backs really disappointed this week. So is Josh Jacobs going to be the guy like he has in the last couple? What is Drake actually going to do there? And then you have Ruggs and Edwards. Like, who's actually going to catch the ball other than Waller? So I think there's a lot of question marks there.
And if you have Jacobs, I guess look out. I mean, he just actually got moved to being questionable with an illness. So,
well, that would blow because
don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know what that means. So
he's going to be on the waivers.
He's now questionable. So we'll see what that is. So, all right. And I'll do it. We'll be back tomorrow with our waiver wire episode. Talk to you guys then.